The town was incorporated in 1985, and it was mostly pushed by a man named Lansing Millis, who moved here from Boston, bought a couple of farms, merged them, which is now today Oak Grove Farm. And he was a railroad man, and he had money, and he was sort of an entrepreneur. And he loved Millis. He fell in love with it. At that time, it was Medway, and then it became East Medway. He was the impetus behind incorporating it into its own town. He's the one that got the townspeople all excited about it, and he's the one that made it happen. Interestingly enough, he died 6 days after the celebration of the incorporation, unexpectedly. Things could have ended right there because the train station hadn't been built yet, but he had a son. And the son took it over and took it upon himself to build the train station. And the son said there are 3 things that Millis is missing. 3, a train station, a library, and a town hall. That was the vision. This train station was part of what they call the Needham Line.
The train that I remember the most was called a Budliner. That's spelled B-U-D-D. And a Budliner was a 1-engine, self-contained diesel train that was, for the time, was very economic. You could hook a couple of them together. It was like a one-engine, 1-passenger train altogether, and it used to go into Boston from Millis. In the off-season, back in the 50s and 60s, after school, we'd all go up to the town park, which was not far away, and we'd either have a baseball glove on our bicycle handlebars and maybe some bats and balls if you had a basket. And then in the fall, we'd play football. And afterwards, we'd go down to Dempsey's, which is now Stacked Pizza. Dempsey's was a package store, but you could buy a soda down there. We all bought Cokes, and that's usually when the train came through. And we'd see people getting off, and the train would continue on the tracks up towards Milford or wherever the end of the route was for that day. And then we'd all ride our bikes home. One other thing I'd like to add, that a picture that I just found that I think my dad took somewhere when the train crossed Exchange Street, which was right there at the train station, or when it was coming out of Boston before it crossed, between the railroad bridge that's near Paul's Flowers on Plain Street, Route 115. Apparently some kids put some rocks on the tracks, and the train derailed. And it was a pretty cool thing for the kids. It was not a cool thing for the town or the police or the fire. I do not think anybody got hurt. I don't know for sure. You'll see a police officer who became the chief, he may have been the chief then, named Horace Balcom, standing to the left of the engine.
There were 8 train stations as part of the Needham Line. There are 2 left, Millis and Dover. All the rest of them have been demolished. The Dover one is now a Dunkin' Donuts. So this one is seriously, and it's very unassuming. There are no stones and no nothing. It looks like a little wooden building. This one is the most spectacular of all, I believe. It's not a particularly big building. It's 2 stories. It's mostly stone. Sandstone is the base of everything, but the stone work around the building is just fantastic. When Mr. Millis, the son, was building it and whatever, apparently he put out the word. There were 48 states in the Union in 1886. 48 states. He put out a thing somehow, I don't know, and he wanted a stone from every state in the Union. And supposedly the stones came pouring into Millis. He also went out to all the people in Millis and said, give me your most original stones. And so they did. And some of the people, his people that were in the train business, sent him stones. And when they got here, he had them engraved with the initials of the corporation. So you'll see stones in the building with several different initials. One's CTR for a company, and one's this one, and one's that one. And the stone, you will never see stones like these, ever. There's one of them is a millstone. They got a millstone and they put it in. It's right by the entrance on the left. I got this book by Harold Phillips. It's dated. This book was published in 1935, the 50th anniversary of Millis, and a buddy of mine, Tom McDonough, loaned it to me to read. And so I'm reading this thing, written however many million years ago, and there's a little story here. At a special town meeting held October 18, 1885, the heirs of Lansing Millis requested permission to erect a building to be known as a memorial to Lansing Millis. In the erection of the building, the outside walls were made of stones, and the citizens were invited to contribute any unusual stones that they could gather from their walls and fields. Many of Mr. Millis's business friends contributed stones as memorials, on which were marked the initials of the corporation. In the upper half of the tower, there are 18 such stones, and in the lower half, 9. At the east end, there is a memorial window, and right under it is a pink granite stone with the inscription, Refrigeration Line, Chicago, Boston, and Liverpool, Lansing Millis, President. There's also a gray granite stone with the initials ND Line. On the north side is a part of an old grist mill stone with the date 1690. There is another stone having the appearance of a lion's head. A railroad station was to occupy the first story, and the second story was to be devoted for the use of public library and town office. This received unanimous approval on the part of the town. The clerk and finance, they actually brought and built a safe on the first floor for the treasury.
The building housed basically everything in the town, all the town offices for the most part, and it did have a library which was not very big, but we didn't know any better or anything different because that was a library we went to. And the one section that I really liked, they had, I still remember the books, they were small orange hardcover books, and they were all biographies, like Thomas Edison, Luther Burbank, who was a great botanist out in the West Coast and was famous for grafting plants together, Alexander Graham Bell, who I think you all know was responsible for the telephone, and then people like Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and Abraham Lincoln. You get a little bit more when you read an entire book, and you get a little bit more of an insight about the people as they actually were as people and not just politicians or scientists.
My mother, as a select board member in the mid-70s and early 80s, they had their select board meetings upstairs in the largest room.
On a snowy night, it was a Monday, I think it was December 19th, 1977, and I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to buy a package store, which was down near the Charles Restaurant, which is now being restored and is going to reopen soon. And it was a formal hearing, and my college roommate, who had become my attorney, represented me, and I was embarrassed at the end of the procedure because not knowing that everybody knew me in there, and it was a formal attorney representing a client, and he said so many things that he didn't have to. I was trying to sink into my chair because he was too good. And anyway, it worked out. And then 9 years later, in June of 1986, I was back there when we transferred the license to a new owner, the LaCroix family. And that was a long time in between going in and out of there, but with the business, I was pretty busy.
The train station was an active train station until 1966. And that's when ridership just dropped off, and that was the end of it. Now, since then, in the mid or early 2000s, they rented it out to a few different places, the last of which was a Montessori school that was there up until about 8 years ago. I think it was there for 10 to 12 years. And then it was just closed up, water was turned off, and it fell into incredible disrepair. Why did it take so long to fix it? This is the sort of most interesting piece of this. The town got some grant money, and they commissioned a firm to do a study on the train station. And the study came back, and it was this thick. It was 1,000 pages. Nobody made it clear to the company that got the bid to do the study. Nobody said to them, you know, the building has had several iterations. It's had several roofs, new shingles, right? The original roof wasn't asphalt shingles. All the windows have been replaced a number of times. The flooring's been replaced. The walls, it's not perfect. The study came back and said, okay, Millis, lucky you. For $1.5 million, you can bring the building back. $1.5 million. The town took the $1.5 million study and threw it in the trash because nobody had an appetite to spend $1.5 million. That was the biggest thing I had to fight to get this project moving, because everybody thought I needed $1.5 million. I took a look around, I got some of my subs together, I had them bid it out. I came up with $250,000. I can make this building gorgeous and airtight and watertight and all these things. And fortunately, the town believed me. It took a while, it took over a year. I had to go to every board and every committee, and I got the CPC, Community Preservation, to give me $1.25, $125,000, and then I got the town to give me $125,000. So I got my $250,000. I started in March of this year. I have ripped everything out that was not original, shelving and things that they just stuck everywhere and destroyed and whatever. I've ripped out everything. There's been new ceilings and new walls, and there'll be all new carpeting. The building wants to come back. I thought there would be. When they turned the water on, seriously, I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for leaks everywhere. Nothing. Tight as a drum. Whatever we could save, we saved. So it's as original as it could be, and still have a good life for the next, hopefully, 50 years. It's just the most unique, beautiful, oldest building in Millis. And there were some that wanted to tear it down or move it or whatever, and it was just, I'm not a big history person, I'm a developer. I'm the first one to say tear something down, I really am. But you can't tear this building down. So, the select board, a couple of meetings ago, voted to devote the first floor to the food pantry. So the food pantry is currently in the basement of the church right next door to us. It's a basement. Nobody can get up and down the stairs. It's been there forever. Very difficult, it's dark, there are no windows. They're gonna take over the first floor, and they are thrilled beyond compare. For the second floor, we've made no determination yet. My vote would go to making it a museum, which is interesting because there are 1 million artifacts of Millis sitting in boxes at Oak Grove Farm on the second floor and attic. Oak Grove Farm being the farm that Lansing Millis lived at and developed and had a great life with, because that's the historical, that's where the Historical Society meets. So they put all their stuff up there, but it's in boxes. It's not tagged, it's not categorized, it's not labeled, it's not indexed. They're just in boxes, waiting for somebody to come by with a match, and the whole building will be gone, and all the stuff will be gone. I want to bring all that stuff over, catalog it, and put it on the second floor for a museum. You know, people come to Millis, sadly enough, a lot of people come to clean out their parents' homes, their brothers' homes or whatever, because they passed away or whatever, and they find something. They find something that's got Millis all over it, and they don't want to throw it away. So they go down to Town Hall. Here, in Town Hall, it's got boxes and boxes, and they put this here and here. You can't see it, because nobody knows what to do with it. Town Hall's full of enough stuff. Interestingly enough, most of it was donated by my mother. We need another place we have Niagara Hall, which is kind of dedicated to the fire history of Millis, because it was the old fire station. I would like to bring everything over. There's some incredible stuff up there that people need to see. I went to Quebec a couple of years ago, first time ever. Quebec is a walled city. It's a walled city. It's one of the last ones left in the whole world. There used to be hundreds of walled cities because of the wars and the whatever, right? But they all took the walls down because we don't need that anymore. We don't need that, and it screws up the city, and it makes it difficult to get from here to here. So they all tore the walls down, and Quebec was ready. I hired a guide, and he told us his story. Quebec was ready to take their wall down, like everybody else. They had their town meeting, and somebody stood up, I think it was the mayor or whoever runs Quebec, and said, people, I know it looks like this is the thing to do, and it might make sense. But someday, he said, we're going to be the only city that still has a wall. People are going to come here to see this wall. It was one of the reasons I went there, and I'm not the biggest historian in the world. He said, so maybe you should think twice before you tear the wall down. I liken it to this train station. Everybody's torn their train stations down, even the most gorgeous ones of all. One of these days, people are going to say, Millis got a train station. Well, kids are going to say, like, wow, what's a wall? What's a train station? And we're going to have a train station standing for 200, 300, however many years, because somebody said, you know what? They're all gone. It's a piece of history. And I want to thank the people of Millis, especially the select board, the CPC, every department I went to, finance, and the people that voted it at town meeting to take a chance on me. Who the hell am I? I had only been in office for a year. And I made a promise, but who knows? And they trusted me to do it. Not only did the town people help me in the support at town meeting, I'm getting donations, $20, $50, $2,500, $5,000 from businesses and people that are just following me, and they love it. They love it.
Being a town person and liking history and growing up in the town, I always hate to see things that have been there forever go away and be replaced by something modern, which in most cases it's a necessary change, and things can't stand still. You can't live in the past. You can appreciate the past. But this building, which is named after the founder of the town, it's a beautiful old building, and I'm very happy that it's being preserved and not being removed for something else.
So many people have a tie to the train station in different ways. Some people grew up actually going and getting a ticket to the train. Others remember paying their taxes, their water bill. Others remember the library. Everybody has a connection. And the warmth and the response has been way more than I thought, way more. People can actually, where people are so divided today, I don't know anybody that is unhappy with what is going on with the train station. They're all rooting for it. And I will have an open house and a celebration and a ribbon cutting. I'm hopeful for maybe Memorial Day, but maybe later. I don't know where to tie it in. But everybody has really rallied around it. That's a good thing.